Hello everyone, I'm here today with a video about the artist's way. I have just finished, recently, well, a couple of days ago really, the artist's way for the fourth time, I believe. I first did it in, I think it was 2021, with my friend, and I found it very difficult the first time round. Then I attempted it again and abandoned it. And then I did it a third time and half-assed, to be honest. And now this fourth time, I wanted to do it properly, but also give myself enough leeway to not beat myself up if I took longer to get through one of the weeks, so to speak. And and it was an interesting go this time round. It certainly unlocked something. I think it helped that I also had, during these 12 weeks, I also had 6 weeks of therapy with an NHS counsellor. I think that also really helped. So it was the combination. But I think there's something to be said about the artist's way. And if you're doing it, I don't want to say properly, because that is very odd to say, but if you're kind of like buying into what she asks you to do, I think a certain amount of buy-in is required. Then yeah, I think you will definitely notice a change. So this book was published in 1992 for the first time, after Julia Cameron had done in-person courses with people where she lived, and I think she also did it in terms of like almost like a correspondence type course for a while, and then she was asked to publish it, and it was an instant success. This book is over 30 years old, but it is incredibly long lasting. There are several new editions now. This edition is from 2016, I believe, but there's a newer revised edition, I think, from 2020. And I would highly recommend getting a newer edition if you can, because my old edition that I had, because I attempted it many, many years ago when my teenager was a little kid, didn't work for various reasons. And that was an edition from the 90s, because I got it secondhand, and already that felt jarring, although I did it when I was 4 or so. I think it was in 2010 I tried it. And that felt really jarring, because the world has changed, and a lot of the things are obviously talking about our everyday lives and how we live them and what we do. And and so in a world of smartphones, it will feel very weird when she says, don't watch the evening news, kind of thing. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the book and about the key principles. I think there's a lot of misconception about the artist's way, and I think the biggest misconception is that you need to be religious. She does talk a lot about God or creator or whatever in the book as some sort of like higher power. And I think it is possible to do this book if you're an atheist, because you can just think of that God figure as your own higher self, your higher consciousness within you. I don't think you need to believe in an external kind of force. You can just think of your own consciousness that you can't really control, the part of your mind that you can't control. But if you're going with the flow, I think we all have experienced that, then something takes over. For me, I have no problem with talking about or like accepting something, that there's something that I can't quite explain. I'm not a Christian. I don't subscribe to any of the formalized religious paths, but I definitely believe in something greater than me. So for me, that is not a problem. But I have several friends who are staunch atheists, and have done this book and have enjoyed doing this book. So you have to get over yourself in some shape or form to do that. You have to accept that. It is in a way like, an AA program, although I never done an AA program, but it is very much based on that kind of idea, this kind of ideology of, like 12 steps, handing something over to a higher power and just doing the things that you have to do to get from day to day, and not drink. And in this case, getting from day to day to recover your artistic ability. I think a second hang up that a lot of people have is like seeing themselves as artists. I certainly used to have that, but I think if you replace artist with creativity or joy, even, or something else, then I think most people will be finding themselves in a situation where they can relate to this book more easily. I don't think you need to be a writer or a painter or a dancer or anything like that in order to do it. I think in order to do it, if you just want to recover a sense of joy and fulfillment in your life, then this book is a great idea, because what she does, she prompts you. So what does she actually want you to do? Well, first of all, there's some preliminaries she wants you to do, like the preparation chapter. So when you start it, I would say on average, the chapters to read them, some are long, some are short, but I would say on average you should allow a couple of hours to really go through them. So each chapter is for a week, so you read it at the beginning of the week. And and I'll show you like my kind of things are very much underlined. Yeah, some are more underlined than others. Some chapters resonate more with me than other chapters do. And then you work during the week on some of the tasks she gives you in that week. So there's always like where she writes about the principles, and then she has tasks. So quite often there are tasks that you actually do something. She asks you to do something. Other times it's writing prompts that she asks you to do. Other times it could be, write yourself a letter or notice the kind of negative self-talk you do and change it into something less negative. And she also asks you to play, like go and get something and just play. And, so this is the preparation though. You read the chapter, and I would say before your first week, you have to allow more time, because before we even get to the actual chapter, the first chapter, it's that much that you need to read. So it's basically 2 chapters. So I would read the beginning bits on one day, and then the next day the chapter, and then start writing the morning pages. It's 12 weeks, and she takes you through questions. Like, for example, in week 1, it's recovering a sense of safety, where she, talks about what shadow artists are, your enemy within, like your core negative beliefs about yourself, like the ally you can form within, like how you can become a better friend to yourself, creative affirmations, that kind of stuff. So the 12 weeks are, like the headlines give you an idea without giving too much away. So it's recovering a sense of identity, recovering a sense of power, recovering a sense of integrity, recovering a sense of possibility, recovering a sense of abundance, recovering a sense of connection, recovering a sense of strength, recovering a sense of compassion, recovering a sense of self-protection, recovering a sense of autonomy, recovering a sense of faith. And another part of this, apart from going through these weeks, is that she asks you to do 3 things every week. So every morning you write your morning pages. These are 3 pages of A4. So like not 3, like not double-sided. So it's like if this was A4, 1, 2, 3. Or if you use a smaller format like A5, that would be 6 pages. And that can be really hard for a lot of people. And certainly for me, when I did it in 2010 and Dama was little, doing the morning pages, she recommends getting up straight away writing. I can do that now. I can now get up before everyone else does. And I can sit at a table and write. But if you have younger children, then this might be very difficult. And, I would still recommend giving it a go. But for example, my kid, up until they were like 10, would get up at 5 every morning. And if they would hear me at 4, they would be up. Yeah. And so there was just no way. There was no time that I could do it in the morning. And, and then obviously, even if they went to school, like by the time they were at school, I had to work. So it was really, really difficult. So it didn't really work then for me. I know of some people who've done it with small children and written their morning pages in the evening. For me, that doesn't work. My brain is too tired. And I can also see the benefit is absolutely better if you do it in the morning first thing. Your mind is sluggish and you wake yourself up by writing. And even though it sometimes is incredibly difficult to fill the pages, it also has this kind of like, you spew everything out that's on your mind, and you might be repetitive. And I certainly was, it was always the same complaints about me, about my life, about my family, about, situations. It was, repetitive, and that can get to you and you feel like, what's the point? But then at one point, suddenly you something comes out and you're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So I highly recommend, even though it's hard, to stick with it. Personally, I would recommend starting to write morning pages way before you do that. Just do it for a month. Just sit down and maybe don't do the full 6 pages. Maybe do 3 pages A4. Maybe do 1 page A4. Maybe do 1.5 pages. Or maybe just do as much as you can in order to get into the habit, because then this will feel a lot less overwhelming. When I did it in 2021 with my friend, the morning pages really helped me, and I have pretty much stuck to it. I write my morning pages most mornings, and I will just get up and I will just do it, and I don't even think about it anymore. So for me this time around, this was really not a problem. Most of the time now I write around 4 pages in my A5 journal, so it's less than she said. So during the morning pages for the course, I upped that to 6 pages, and it felt a little bit tricky at times to fill those pages, but I did it, with the exception of a couple of days when other things were happening and I couldn't, like when the kid was sick and stuff like that. But it's good then to notice why you don't write, and for me, it's always family stuff, or not like just family stuff, but it's the majority is family stuff derailing me from the things I want to do. And I think a lot of mothers will relate to that. It is difficult to do what you want to do when you also have people in your life. People that are not fully grown adults. And even if they are, it's a bit tricky. And the second thing she wants you to do is to go on artist dates. And artist dates are something that I have struggled with in all 4 iterations of me going through this. I find it very difficult to make the time for myself to do it. And I obviously in 2021 when I did it, there was also a lockdown at some point, and things were still more closed off, and that was really difficult to go out. So I did a lot of at home kind of ideas, and I still do that to an extent, because there's no point of forcing myself to go on an artist date outside the house. That then just adds to my exhaustion. So quite often I will do something like watch a documentary that I'm really interested in, or just do something creative that I don't normally would do. For example, drawing with pencils, or making my own coloring in sheet, kind of thing. So she encourages you to play. That's what the artist dates are for. And also that you have non-negotiable time that you spend on your own doing something you enjoy. And I think that is very important. And that is something that I really have to honor, even now that I'm finished with it. Because in the past, I have been like, oh yeah, I'm done now. And yeah, I still write the morning pages, but the artist date, they went straight out of the window. And I'm very terrible at allowing myself to do things that I enjoy. Yeah, it's just like, and that's where the therapy was quite helpful, because I would have something in here that I would come across, and it would just provide so much fodder. And I actually, because of doing this at the same time, I actually unlocked some things in therapy that I sort of knew about myself, but not to the extent, or not wholly, not to the root causes. And one of them is my really tremendous negativity about myself. And it also always comes out when I'm writing. You're not encouraged to read your morning pages back for quite some time. I think it is week 8 or so, where she asks you to go back and read the pages and underline and things like that. So make sure you have a notebook where you can easily do that. And I say that because I'm one of these people. I fill a diary and I destroy it. I don't keep them anymore. So keep it for that long, and go back. And I think I will keep the one I used this time round, because I want to do it again, work on my negative self-beliefs and my negative self-talk, and then go back and do it again and see if it has changed, if I manage to change some aspects of it. And then the other basic thing she asks you to do is, so it's artist dates, it's the morning pages, and then the other thing is to do the tasks, yeah, and that is very important. So after each chapter, there are the tasks, and you don't have to do all of them. Some chapters will have like 10, 12 tasks, others will have 3 or 4, and it is really hard to do all of them. But I encourage you to do the ones first that you find the hardest to do. There's some that I have always avoided, and this time round I tried to do some of them, and it was really worthwhile. The ones that I feel the greatest resistance to, when I actually do them, I feel a sense of relief, like I've tackled something, and so yeah, I really highly recommend that. One of the thing that I would say that happens to pretty much anyone that I have spoken to during this, you will have the vast majority of people will drop out during week 1 or 2. Yeah. So you will start, and week one is new, is interesting, but you might struggle to do your morning pages. You may not have gone on an artist date. You try again to do it in week two. You still struggle with the morning pages. You can't think of an artist date to do, and people drop out. Yeah. Um, that's the vast majority. Yeah. The second one where people will drop out is week four. Week four is the week of reading deprivation, and it's it is the thing that I find the hardest. So you have to cut out all use of reading, and that includes social media. That aspect I don't find too hard, but no books, no newspapers, no television, no, you know, like no thing that you would use to distract yourself. Yeah. So you can be creative, you can dance, you can do all sorts of things. And this time around, I lasted 4 days. And I learned a lot about myself. I learned that I'm way more creative if I reduce the amount of time I spend on other things. That's not a big surprise, right? But I also learned that my negative self-talk, without having the distractions of reading in particular, and time doing handicraft while watching something or listening to an audiobook, my depression gets worse. I mean, and I think that's a very important thing to notice about yourself, right? Because I noticed that I'm using books and reading and media in general, like films and TV shows, as a form of medication. And if you're aware of it, I think it just makes for a much healthier relationship. Whilst I don't think that reading per se is unhealthy, on the contrary, but I think quite often we can use books especially, and also watching TV, as an escape from something that we use, like, oh, we have no time to do anything else, or we can't do anything else. So I think becoming aware of it is a really important thing. And then I think the other time, people, let's say you make it through week four, you sort of somehow muddle your way through the reading deprivation. You might abandon it. You might feel guilty about it. You might think, oh, she's insane. That's usually what I felt. And you will feel that more than once about her. You will hate Julia Cameron. I can guarantee you that. You will loathe the woman. I don't think I would ever want to meet her. I mean, she must be very old, because I'm not sure I like her. Yeah. But this book is useful. Yeah. Then in week 9, I think, as she talks about creative U-turns in week 9, when she talks about recovering a sense of compassion. And I think that is, from all the friends I know have done it, the week that, like, quite a chunk can't get through. Yeah. There's something about that, like she says, creative U-turn, you abandon everything, you go back, oh, this is stupid, this is not working. And this is exactly what happens to people around that. Some might have it already in week 8, because, it's just difficult. Yeah. But most people will have it in week 9. And yeah, so what I would say in conclusion is, it's absolutely worthwhile doing it. If you've tried before and failed, please try again. Because it might just be the thing that gets you doing something that you may have wanted to do but never allowed yourself to do, or may get you to see yourself in a different light. And I think especially as you get older, we can get a bit stuck in the way we see ourselves. And if nothing comes out, I'm not saying you have to then go on and write a book. I mean, for me, it has worked. I'm writing again. You know, I've been writing every day, Monday to Friday, for quite some time now, and I have given up on like some of the beliefs I have around writing. I can only write on one project at a time. I can only do this. I allow my magpie brain to just do what it feels it needs to do in order to go and write. So I'm writing on 2 books at the moment. I'm also writing, you know, poetry, you know, but I'm writing every day, Monday to Friday, non-negotiable at the desk, a minimum of 500 words. May not sound that much, but if you do the maths, you know, that is 2,500 words a week. And that's not bad. Quite often I write more than 500 words. You know, I might write 1,000, 1,500. So on average, I would say in a week, I write about 4,000 to 5,000 words. And that is more than I've written before. You know, like even just doing the 500 words is more than I've written for a long time. So for me, it has paid off. But you don't have to do this and think, oh, you know, but I have to do a creative project. If the only thing you get out of it is a sense of achievement, of having done something that is a bit hard, that is a bit difficult, but that kind of put you in touch with some of the areas in your mind and soul that you don't really like to think about, maybe allows you to put some regrets to bed, then it is totally worth it, in my personal opinion. And I highly recommend you try it. I think it's single-handedly the best thing that I've done this year. So I'm very proud of myself for having done it. I'm incredibly proud of myself because it is not easy. And so, yeah, but onwards and forwards, I'm thinking about doing something along those lines. And I think I'm gonna work my way through Anne Lamott's Bird by Bird writing book. I've read that before and haven't read it in a long time. And I think I'm just gonna read through that to help me with the demons that are still showing up on a daily basis, telling me how bad my writing is. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. This is probably a very long and rambly video. I feel like I've been talking for hours. So thanks for bearing with it, and thanks also for bearing with my chaotic schedule at the moment. I'm really trying hard to improve, but it's still mock exam season here, so just wait, you know, just wait. Anyway, I'll speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.